Dame's Cal Burke broke out with a third-period hat trick last weekend to propel the Fighting Irish to a tournament win. For the Omaha Mavericks, led by big Frederick Olofsson, he's looking to celebrate his senior year in style and hoping his Mavericks can surprise Notre Dame here early in the season. Downtown Omaha ready for some college hockey as they're hunkered down tonight inside the home of the Mavericks, Baxter Arena. Only 4 years old and the place is filling up quickly. Great to be with Dave Starman. I'm Dan Kelly. Welcome to Omaha in year number 14 of college hockey coverage on CBS. We bust out of the gates with a good one, but a challenging one for Omaha, facing last year's national runner-up in Notre Dame.
And every year teams will lose something, right? So Notre Dame loses Jake Evans. They lose Ben Ogilvy, so they lose their number 1 and 2 centers. They're replacing it pretty well. Dylan Monquist had a great start, and they think the youngster Jacob Pavanka might be the guy who takes that number 2 spot. Their defense is mobile. Bobby Nardell has been great through 3 games, and he brings a ton, and then you get the goaltender who's lights out. So good down the middle, real good on the back end, solid in goal. That's a nice recipe to make a run at a title.
Great news for Coach Jackson. Cal Burke off to an electric start.
I was at this game last weekend. They were down 5-4. Merciers took a 5-minute major, and Cal Burke went to work, and so did Monquist, and getting him the puck. Scored 2 on the power play. Here's the third one. What Burke's been able to do over his career, improve his speed, improve his explosion, get to the net with more consistency, and a quick release.
This trio will be critical to Notre Dame's success as they ran out of scoring depth last year in their run to the national championship game. Omaha under the direction of second-year head coach Mike Gabnett. Here early in the season, Dave, does he have the horses to hang with Notre Dame?
I'll tell you what, they hung really well with Union last week, and that was a weekend with, it was a bruising series. It was a lot of pace. It was fun to watch, but I thought Omaha did some really good things. One is they established a good top 6, and one of those guys in that top 6 who's going to be a scoring threat every time he's on the ice is Zach Jordan, who all he's done through his time here in Omaha is work on better release, pro release, shooting out a stride, not letting goalies get ready. Because he's got more explosion, he gets to loose pucks faster, loves playing in the hard area, using his size, and he makes his centerman and his line mates that much more effective.
You see how important he is to the team, 16 goals and not shy to shoot the puck. Well, a big welcome to a familiar face. Shireen Saski is joined by Mason Morelli.
Thanks, Dan. Well, Mason, I think you have to be one of the more excited people here tonight. It's been a long road to come back, 10 months since your ACL injury. Now here you are, the home opener, playing on the ice, 15 family members in the stands. What's going through your mind?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to put into words. It's pretty special, and playing in front of the fans here, it's awesome, and I just couldn't be happier to be back.
It's an electrifying atmosphere for sure. Notre Dame coming in, having played in the national championship game, but now they've got 9 freshmen on their team. How do you take advantage of that early on?
I think we got to be simple and be hard. You know, show them the NCAA is a hard league, and, you know, we got to be physical and dump the pucks and get their D turning and be all over them.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Dan, back
Thanks,
to you.
Shireen. It sure is soothing to hear the rambunctious sounds of college hockey. These two teams split last year. The battle marches on tonight from Omaha. Look back at the last 3 national champions, 2016, 2 goals from North Dakota's Drake Pachula. Gave them a 5-1 win over Quinnipiac. Gave North Dakota their 8th title. 2017, it was a hat trick from Denver's Jared Lucas Savages. Gave the Pioneers a 3-1 lead through 2 periods. UMD's Riley Tufte scored to make it 3-2 late in the third, but the Pioneers prevailed 3-2. 2018, Duluth jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the first period behind Carson Kuhlman and Jared Thomas goals, giving them their 2nd title in school history. Baxter Arena, Omaha, Nebraska, almost ready for puck drop here as the Fighting Irish visiting the Mavericks this season. And this rivalry still developing, just the 35th meeting, advantage Notre Dame. The first meeting back in 1999. These two teams split last season. Let's meet the goaltenders beginning with the visitors from Notre Dame, and it was a steady diet of kale that propelled them to the national championship game last year, that being goaltender Cale Morris. He was the biggest question mark this time last year, and he answered loud and clear. The other end, Evan Weniger guarding the Mavericks goal. They're buried behind teammates, and he kind of reminds you, Dave Starman, of a old New Jersey Devil from back in the day.
Does remind me a lot of Chris Terreri with the way he plays. He's a smaller guy. He's got great reflexes. However, he does have good technique. So he's got the combination of the speed, reflexes, the technique component. He's got a tendency to make big saves. He plays at a real aggressive depth. And the challenge for him, and what other teams will look for, is can you backdoor him on a Royal Road kind of play, or is he starting to figure out where he is in the crease?
Yeah, call it old foxy move from the veteran Jeff Jackson. It's not Cale Morris, it's Dylan St. Cyr between the pipes this evening for Notre Dame, always pulling out some surprises.
St. Cyr played the National Team Development Program. His dad is Jerry St. Cyr, who is a longtime pro, and his mom, Manon Rayom, who certainly made her mark on the history of hockey, becoming the first female goaltender to play in a pro game.
Oh, off we go. Notre Dame controlling the puck here early as Tyson will knock it back for Dylan Malmquist. Dello and Bobby Nardella, the defensive pairing for Notre Dame. Steve stretching to accept that pass, unable to, and as a result, an icing just 20 seconds in.
Jeff Jackson, the head coach at Notre Dame, and has done a wonderful job with this program, including a couple of runs to Frozen Fours. When we were talking earlier this week, he said the last 2 years with the two Frozen Four teams, they had a lot of kids with big game experience. Last year, for them, was almost a plug and play with the guys that came back. He thinks this year is a little bit more of a work in progress. He likes the fact that they have filled Jake Evans' role with Dylan Malmquist up front, and as we alluded to earlier, as we see another icing, thinks Jake Pavanka might settle into the Ogilvy role in that number 2 slot.
Mike Gabnett, third coach in Omaha history. He turned 37 last month. He went from the youngest head coach in college hockey to the 4th. Time flies.
Get old quick in this business, there's no question.
Here's Omaha looking for their first try on goal. That's bounced wide. It was Morelli in front, looking for the deflection. Another shot just shrugged away as it was sailing high of St. Cyr again.
Watch Omaha's defense to get aggressive and pinch. Jones is a guy that's a little bit more defensive than Stewart. This is their top pair, but Jones knows that if he wants to roll down the wall, if something goes wrong with Stewart's speed, he can get back and cover and defend a bit with his feet. So keep an eye on Omaha's defense, especially that top pair, to roll down on pitches aggressively.
Saw Stewart flashing that ability to pivot and make that quick turn. He goes off to the bench as it's driven in by Konecki. Keeping it on the point, Smallage. It's Notre Dame rekindling the attack. Cal Burke there, foiled at the blue line. It's poked in by Malmquist, but Konecki and Omaha once again trying for that cross corner dump in, knocked in, down by Andrew Peak, and an offside. Look at the program profiles. Notre Dame, they've been around a little longer, trying to play catch up here. The Omaha Mavericks and Notre Dame still searching for that elusive national championship. They've been so close.
There was a little bit of a gap between Notre Dame's varsity history since that first game back in 1930. When people talk about great programs, obviously Notre Dame is in them, and it always is brought up in debate. Who is the best program in college hockey that has not yet won a national title? The two names you always hear are Notre Dame and St. Cloud State, and both of those teams have had some good opportunities at it. Notre Dame, obviously, in the championship game last year.
Nobody expected him to make it to the championship game.
One of the more improbable runs was that one back in Denver in 08.
There's Graham in front. It's Notre Dame's first shot on target. It was a weak one. Weniger deals with it.
That was when Michigan came in a little bit more heavily favored, and Notre Dame won an overtime goal. Michigan came back on Notre Dame. Remember, Notre Dame scored a whole lot early, changed Billy Sauer, and Notre Dame came back late in that, or Michigan came back late. Notre Dame won it in overtime on a goal by Callie Ritterwald, then lost to Boston College. That was the night that Nathan Gerby had 4 points in the national title game.
The Mavericks up with it once again. Sundberg swinging in wide on Hellickston, jams it in front. Puck was available for a moment. Swatted back to the blue line and kept in by Omaha. Stewart rolls it down low, but recovered by Notre Dame. It's Alex Steeves. Will shoot it in. Backing him up is Andrew Peak at the blue line. Opening period almost 3 minutes in. Just slowing things down a little bit. Konepke and the Mavericks.
And I think Omaha would rather push the pace a little bit here. Omaha's got some wheels in their top six, and they've got a couple of defensemen, including this pair that's on the ice now going for a change. But that number one pair with Jones and Stewart can really go too. On the other side of it, you know, Notre Dame is always a team that plays with a little bit more control. They certainly can play up tempo when they want to, and some of the wheels that they have. Being the road team, you don't want to let pace get dictated to you. More so, you want to survive those first 5 or 10 minutes. Hence, Notre Dame trying to keep this thing at a steadier pace.
There's Frederick Olofsson using his backside to get some room. This is the big line. Jordan shooting, and that's blocked by Hellickson. Olofsson again. Unable to pick it up was Keck, and it's kicked to center. This is Jenkins. On the retrieval is Jason Smolich.
You can tell it's a non-conference game, right? Both teams trying to feel each other out. Not a lot of familiarity here. Once these teams get into conference play, it's amazing. You drop the puck, and both of these two great conferences, you drop the puck, and it's game on.
Not a little familiarity from these teams knowing their teammates as well. 9 new players on each team. As Burke was dumped away from the puck, and you heard some excitement from the home crowd. Now Burke right back after it. Twisting and turning. Malmquist, the high shot off of Wegworth and out of play.
Well, the physical play getting started as Burke starts to walk up. Schultz nails him. That's one of the ways that you can certainly get the heartbeat going and get the pace going. Then a good chance by Omaha as they force a turnover, and there's that quick release we talked about with Jordan. And the thing that Jordan has been doing a lot, he's working with assistant coach Paul Gerard on doing it, is not only catch and release, but being able to pick a puck up and even in stride, catch, release, and let it ride before goaltenders have a chance to get set and stop.
Notre Dame controls off the faceoff. Delos shot wide, and there's Morrison to jam it in off the boards. Notre Dame opens up the scoring.
Clean wins and secondary wins so important, and this was a cleanish win that was helped along as Morrison jumped in. The intentional missed shot is what sets up, and then Morrison goes back down. So he starts it, finishes it. The key to this whole play, as you look back at it, was the defense getting the puck through down low, and that live kickboard comes back out. So you start with a good win, move it back, shot doesn't get blocked, it gets below the goal line where good things can start to happen.
And remember, this is the first ever appearance for Notre Dame at Baxter Arena, just built in 2015. Getting familiar with the boards and taking advantage of that kickback, and it leads to Morrison's second goal of the season.
You're going to see a lot of that from both of these goalies. Both of these guys being small goalies, they're going to be out on top of the paint quite a bit, especially on long-distance shots. So shots coming off the backboard, and the goaltenders having to retreat is going to be a part of it. Now, here's part 2 to this whole thing. If you're the goaltender, and I know this just from being a smaller guy who played it, if you're playing up on top of your crease and a shot misses the net, especially short side, you've got to make a decision as to whether or not you're going to react to the shot or back to the net on the shot in case something comes out. If you overreact to a wide shot, you put yourself in a prone position to not be able to make a second save.
Jenkins nosing around with Crawford. This captured by Omaha. Thrown right the middle. Sundberg is run into, and that's going to be the first penalty of the game. It looks to be a Neen call upcoming. We'll take a break. Dello off for 2 minutes. Omaha power play when we return. Torrey Corey Dello off for 2 minutes for Neen, so an early power play for Omaha and an opportunity to tie up this game.
Dello's in a neutral zone just trying to make a play, and there's the call as he gets the knee stuck out a little bit. And Omaha will get on the power play. Omaha's power play last weekend at Union was really good, and a lot of it had to do with how well they moved the puck, especially up high. Jordan plays the left point, 27 in white. And then he's got Jones, 20 in white, up top. Jones has got a pretty good hammer, but Jordan's the guy on that offside, left wing side. If they can get it to him, they're in business.
Jordan wears number 27. They were 5 for 10 with the power play last weekend, almost 25% conversion rate last year, but a lot of new players. Right in front, the redirection there, and the opportunity from Polkinen. St. Cyr was ready, and Bobby Nardella will drive it down the ice.
That's a huge save by Dylan St. Cyr, because that was a quick kind of bang-bang play from Olsen off the wall to the front of the net. The tip was low on the ice. Dylan St. Cyr kept the stick on the ice, the key to the save.
Ryan Jones dropping to Olofsson. In across the line is Morelli. Jones on the point. Morelli lets the pass filter through. There's the snapshot off the post. Frederick Olofsson has tied it thanks to a power play goal.
There comes the fish. Here comes the mini Zamboni, and the great tradition here in Omaha continues with Omaha's first goal and a little ice fishing to finish it off. What a nice play by Omaha as they move the puck around. It's just good, quick puck movement, trying to find seams. Jones playing catch, a little mix and match, and then Olofsson steps in. And the key here for Olofsson is he had space. See the 3 or 4 feet he took? By taking those 3 or 4 feet, you know what you do with St. Cyr? You can push him back. St. Cyr comes out, you see him move back. It was a matter of Olofsson taking the 5 feet that was available to him, which pushes St. Cyr back, even if it's 6 inches. 6 inches on a 5'9" goalie looks like an eternity of space when you are the shooter looking at that net.
Frederick Olofsson, just his second year at center, 4th rounder of the Chicago Blackhawks, and that was a busy power play. 3 power play shots, and the final one opens up the scoring for the Mavericks.
They scored a goal last week against Union. I was watching it. They took a face-off. They won it. They controlled the puck for about 25 seconds. They made 10 passes, never lost control of the puck, and scored the same exact goal that they just scored.
Along the near boards, Ryan Gall. Bukta a little slow over the line, and the Mavericks are offside.
The one thing you see early on in a season is players getting used to each other. That's obvious. This is each team's 4th game. They're still figuring out what they are, who they are. Mike Gavin had talked about it earlier this week, and so did Jeff Jackson. It's about getting used to new teammates. But the one thing that he felt with a little bit more of a veteran presence on his team is, like Notre Dame last year, they could get into that. You don't like to use plug and play because it sounds generic, but they know that they can pick up a lot from where they left off. They lost Mesner and Vessel last year, but they brought a lot back, so they can continue along the path they were on towards the end of last year when they were pretty good.
He thought about pinching in, but then he saw the speed of Smallwood bearing down on him. A quick counter. Slaggert unable to accept the pass, and it's Matt Hellickson back for the Fighting Irish. Perched along the far wall, Tyson. Pavanka going to the goal, wearing his father's old number 20 that he wore with the Washington Capitals, Michael Pavanka. Swung in front. Cal Burke had his stick trapped, couldn't release the shot, but here's some pressure from Notre Dame. Another penalty upcoming. This one appears to be going against Omaha.
Wait for the call here. And Notre Dame will get an opportunity to go on the power play as Notre Dame starts to buzz a little bit. Some good work around the net by Notre Dame as they get going, and the penalty happens here along the wall. And Notre Dame's power play last weekend, as I mentioned, they had a 5-minute major late in the game against Mercyhurst, down 4-3. And that power play went to work, and Malmquist ran it, and he ran it beautifully off the right wing side.
5 for 14. They scored a lot, and they had a lot of practice last weekend. Dylan Malmquist there, right by the stick of Burke, stretching to hold that puck in. Andrew Peak. Jones, the rugged defenseman along the boards, helps jar it loose. Notre Dame fights to keep it in, but unable to.
And a good start by the really was the third penalty killing unit last weekend for Omaha, as they get a good clear. And we're just talking about the Notre Dame power play with Malmquist on that right wing side. He's looking to find 11 in blue Burke wherever he can towards the front of the net. If nothing's there, Nardella up top is smart with the puck in terms of his distribution.
Dangerous backhand shot there by Burke. Winiger the save, the one-timer from Peak, patted aside by Winiger. And picking up the rebound there is Riley Alford, and he'll clear. Minute to go in the 5-on-4 man advantage for Notre Dame. Big challenge this year is to start off better for the Fighting Irish. Score the first goal, but I don't know if you can necessarily say they've started off better as they've allowed Omaha to equalize. Malmquist tentatively over the line and never really could settle the puck.
Long shift for Malmquist as he finally gets off. Minute 20, ran out of gas towards the end of it.
Half a minute to go in this advantage. Hellickson there off the stick of Cam Morrison, so there's no icing. Spencer Stastny, one of the freshmen they're high on from the blue line, drives it in, but it's the Mavericks again clearing.
This has been a really clean penalty kill for Omaha. Their changes have been crisp, their clears have been good, their pressure's been good.
There's Pavanka looking for one, and on the rebound it's knocked wide as well. It was Spencer Stastny with the second try. Morrison down to Hellickson. The problem is that left point position was vacated, and Notre Dame will have to regroup.
And when it matters, your goaltender's got to be your best penalty killer. And a big stop by Winiger at the end there as Notre Dame took advantage of a real gap in the coverage. Forwards were high, D's were a little low, and a big space opened up, and that's where Winiger came up big.
Yeah, 4 shots during that power play for Notre Dame. Back to even strength hockey. Jenkins floats it back to Dello on the point. Seeing that through traffic was Winiger. Misconnection allows Notre Dame to pick it back up deep in their own zone. Plurman begins the breakout, but puts it right back onto the Maverick stick. Bukta navigates his way through center. They wave off a potential icing. Hurriedly up the wall by Dello. Schulz helps hold in. Second crack for Dello, and Schulz again keeps it alive in the zone. Finally, twisting it out there was Klurman.
Yeah, you saw a fair bit of Notre Dame last year. Was there a dynamic that they had that you felt was a big key for what drove their engine last year?
Stifling defense, timely scoring, and terrific goaltending. The Mavericks trying to solve that. Konepke, good battle down low as Hellickson had his stick lifted, and it's going to be a penalty upcoming. Back and forth we go. And the Mavericks back on the power play, looking for their second consecutive goal.
All tied up one midway through the first period. The Mavericks and Fighting Irish. Mavs head coach Mike Gabinet joining me now. How happy are you with your team's play thus far?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked our start. Thought a little bit of unfortunate bounce right off their bat, right on their sticks. So if we just keep doing what we're doing, we'll be all right.
You've got one power play goal tonight. You're going on the power play here. What's the key?
Yeah, same thing. You know, they like to kind of box up a little bit. They're a little bit passive, so we got a threatened shot here and pound pucks here.
Thanks, Coach. Dave?
One thing that Gabinet talked about earlier this week when it comes to the Notre Dame penalty kill is they like to force you down low. They seal up high fairly well. So the challenge for Omaha is, are they going to get pushed into a situation where they've got to make a half boards to low play as opposed to being able to utilize their points? They did a really nice job, I thought, in their first power play at utilizing the high play, which they like, but also being able to come off the half wall and go to the net. We'll see where Notre Dame continues to not only adjust, but play to their strength.
Omaha scored on their one and only power play so far tonight. Nice shot from Olofsson. Here a little disorganized in across the line. Look at that penalty.
Apparently it was the Hellickson. It's funny because looking at it from up here wasn't I didn't think it was a great call. When you look at it from the referee's perspective, ice level, you could much better see where Hellickson's stick drew the penalty. Normally you're looking to see on a hook if the stick goes parallel to the ice, but between the stick on stick with it coming up and a little bit of the corkscrew that was starting to develop, that was enough to make the call.
Frustrated response as he was about to lose the puck in a dangerous spot, so it leads to this power play. Olofsson, that pass caroms into the corner. There's Mason Morelli. He's jabbed loose, and Pierce Crawford right up the middle for Burke, who was anticipating an offensive chance, but the other way, Morelli in, shoots, scores! Another power play goal. This time it's Mason Morelli.
When Omaha was in attack mode last weekend against Union, things like this happened. When they got really passive is when their power play stalled. This was a line change by Notre Dame that wasn't great. Then they got caught puck watching. And if there was anything that you can criticize Notre Dame last weekend against Mercyhurst, they got caught puck watching a lot. And here it happens again. And then Morelli, remember we talked about the small goaltender in St. Cyr? Morelli gets this pass, takes it on his backhand, on his forehand, looks up quick. He sees St. Cyr has given up the top of the paint, so he knows he can go upstairs. When you're a goaltender, the one thing you want to do, force the player that's coming at you on a breakaway to make a move. Your heel's at the top of the paint when the puck hits the hash marks. And St. Cyr backed up a little bit, and he gave Morelli plenty to shoot at.
And as you can see, the play under review, potentially looking at a possible offside on the play.
But Notre Dame looked confused on their line change. That to me was really one of the issues. There was a couple of guys coming to the bench as that puck moved from left to right. We'll get a chance to see on the play whether or not it was offside. Obviously, taking a look at the player in white in the middle and where his feet are. Puck is outside the line. Take a look at the back foot. And that's going to come back.
A close one, but appeared to be offside. You see all the reviewable plays that officials are allowed to look back at.
This is what I know that a lot of people have talked about. Too many delays and too many goals get looked at, and this is one of those things I kind of like. It's last year I thought it got a little bit out of control, but there are times where I think it's really legitimate to go back and see whether or not a play was blatantly offsides or close to being offsides, and offsides to the point where it affected the play. And this is one of where the uses of technology helped. Now, last week at Union in that Saturday night game, almost everything was looked at again, and it's coming back as the offside. Everything last week seemed to go into the officials' box and take a look at it. It really slowed the pace of a well-paced game down. So I know there's been conversation about how are we going to streamline the amount of times that we go to video in terms of goals that get scored. But this is a case where clearly the system works.
The challenge is you want to get it right, but it's challenging for the team that scores the goals, and they look at the review to maintain that momentum and excitement, especially a home goal, although this one disallowed. So sort out the power play times
Now, speaking of big offsides calls, the goals that got scored, your dad actually called a game where an offsides legitimately decided a Stanley Cup championship in that Game 6 in Philadelphia, in New York, against the Flyers in the Stanley Cup Finals in 1980, when Leon Stickle blew an offside by about 8 feet. Islanders got the goal, went on to win the cup later in overtime, a game I know that your dad had called.
And I know you broke some furniture celebrating watching those Islanders win the Stanley Cup.
That was fun for a kid on Long Island to see. 4 times, as a matter of fact.
What a run. Dello back for Notre Dame. He swarmed on the forecheck. There's Morelli. He's a little bitter after scoring that nice goal, and it was taken back by a review as the power play marches on. 45 seconds left. That wrist shot doesn't get through, and it ricochets back to center.
One of the biggest keys for a power play quarterback is decision-making with the puck when you get it up at the top center point. You need to make sure that the lane in the net is open. If it's not, you can always do what Notre Dame did. You put it just to the side of the net, trying to create a scramble in front of the net. But shots off shin guards have a bad way of winding up in the back of your own net.
Malmquist in pursuit there. It's kicked down to Keck. Now on the point to Stewart. Spinner to Keck. Walks and fires. There to block it is Klurman. Good puck retrieval. Number 9, Alford. Feeding the point again. Pass off his skate. Hellickson is out of the box. The power play has expired for Omaha as it bounces over the stick to Berg for Hellickson. Just one shot on goal during that power play for Omaha. Now they're back at it. Sundberg, even strength, swoops in, and there was some space there on St. Cyr, and the net ends up getting knocked off its moorings.
And just before that, a collision in the neutral zone. Spinner and Alford bumped into each other. Both went to the bench very slowly and played to the net. You can see as this play's going on, here's the collision, and both guys went to the bench kind of gingerly. And here's where I think Omaha has made a lot of hay in their last couple of years, and that is their ability to drive the net wide. I think Omaha is a good team in the NCHC in terms of driving the net wide. They're really good at using the width of the rink. They play just about a regulation rink here in terms of the width, and the one thing that they have shown in the last year under Mike Cabinet is the ability to take the wide lanes, drive the net with some support coming down the middle.
Familiar name in hockey circles, Chase Primo. Picks up the puck. Primo shoves it in front, but no one there in a white sweater. Chase's dad, longtime NHLer, Keith Primo, over 900 NHL games.
And the one common denominator you see between the two of them is they're not afraid to be on the walls, they're not afraid to play in hard areas, and their stick skills in traffic really good. Omaha really excited about Primo, and they think that as he develops more strength, could become a really legit top center in the NCHC.
Dad was old enough to play for the old Hartford Whalers back in the day. Mike O'Leary meanders his way in. Bukta on the retrieval for Omaha. We approach the final 6 minutes of this opening period. Knotted at 1. Scooting in on the forecheck. There's Taylor Ward. Dello there in the near corner, and another penalty upcoming. It appears to be on Notre Dame again.
Battle in the corner is where the call will come out. And Omaha, whose power play has been real good through 2 opportunities, 1 goal call back. We'll get another chance as Dello's the one to get to the gate. You'll see there's a really good one-on-one 50-50 going on here down low, and this is where it happens. So you see Dello in blue coming in right behind, follows through. No discussion as to whether or not it's a 5. They leave it as a 2. But it's just, if you see numbers, it is incumbent upon the player coming in hot and heavy to make sure that you pull up. And the bear hug approach is Brian Burke. When I was working for Toronto, Brian Burke was our GM. He was always a big advocate of when you're coming in like that, bear hug and push, and then you can release safety of the player and you don't take a penalty.
Second penalty of this period from Dello. Power play underway. One-timer doesn't get through. Strong board play there. But Notre Dame can't clear it, but getting a second try, and Graham Slaggert will clear. This is Ryan Jones. And a late bloomer, Olafson, the goal scorer early in this game. Morelli there, fanning on the potential one-timer in front.
My feeling is if Olafson was on the other side, he would have shot if he was on his off wing.
Burke with Malmquist. Burke in. Oh, and he just misses short side. And it ends up being a power play breakout. Pulkkinen and Omaha in across the line. Back and forth we go, but Burke decides to slow things up as he didn't have much cover with him.
That's what a veteran does, because he knew that his group needed a line change. And that's why he held up. He was dying to get off to the races. Smart players know when to live to fight another day. That's a great example of leadership by Burke.
Shot 7-5, advantage Notre Dame, 50 seconds to go in Omaha's power play. Klurman uses the boards to guide it down the ice. Winding up here is Bukta. Off of Primo and in, so there's no icing. Hellickson there, glancing over his shoulder to see who's coming. Calmly up the boards. It's Jack Jenkins. Leads the charge over the line. His teammates are changing, so he's by himself. And he'll go for a change as well. Kevin Conley at the line and over, and there you see Notre Dame very aggressive at the blue line, and it helps break things up, and then they're offside on the counterattack. In this program, building and developing on the fly, the Omaha Mavericks, and looking at some of their NHL draft picks.
Frederick Olsen, kind of the high flyer of that group. We talked to Freddie a little bit this morning, and he plays with an edge. He plays a really abrasive, skilled game. And he said his hero growing up, the guy they liked to watch a whole lot, was Peter Forsberg. And when you thought about it, he said, wow, they do possess a lot of the same similarities. Great picking pockets, great coming from behind, heavy on their sticks, good in the circle where they need to be, and that unique ability with the puck on their stick even to deliver a first hit to clear themselves some more space.
Coincidentally, he was born in 1996, the year the Colorado Avalanche won their first Stanley Cup.
Just keep in mind that Shereen is kind of a big wingspan growing up in Detroit, so the more Avalanche Stanley Cup references you make, the less postgame is going to go well.
Won't bring up Claude Lemieux.
I wouldn't.
We'll take a break here in Omaha. 3:20 to go in the first period. Nothing settled yet. Well, the NCHC hasn't been a friendly opponent for Notre Dame in their last couple of runs at a national championship. The Fighting Irish fell to the eventual champion Denver Pioneers in the 2017 semifinals by a score of 6-1. Last year, Notre Dame reached the championship game but fell 2-1 to Minnesota Duluth in a tightly contested battle.
Now, what's interesting is Notre Dame's lessons out of those two games were getting back to fundamentals. And when I'm talking about fundamentals, it's important for all youth hockey teams, too, that are listening in. It's about proper foot positioning, proper positioning in gaps, proper stick positioning to eliminate dangerous passes, keeping your feet moving. Don't take undisciplined penalties. They really kind of went back to basics as they started to build into last year and continuing into this year. And it's why Notre Dame's player development model, which they are very proud of and very entrenched in, has been very good in the last few years. They've really taken it to a skill-based development model, which is what they want.
Nardello along the boards. There's Michael Graham. Comes down to Cam Morrison. Pass off target, sending Dello back to center. The mastermind behind that plan, Jeff Jackson, looking for that elusive national championship still. This is Graham to Morrison. That blind backhand pass eventually finds it to Dello. And Dello, just a little prayer from the near boards, beats Weniger, and Notre Dame has their first lead of the night. How did that get in?
Well, those dead angle goals are just killers. This is a pretty simple play, and Notre Dame just comes up the ice, stretches it a little bit, and then it just gets scrambling. Now they're just trying to go to work here. This is a great read as Dello goes low, and as I said, those dead angle goals, it's the goaltender down early, and Weniger just playing this, and he just missed it clean. I mean, he had a little bit of traffic going on in front of it, but as he comes across, he's down, tries to get back up, he's not exactly squared, and when you're not squared to shots, it's really hard to stop them. And that's what happens there. There have been more of those dead angle goals in the last 10 years, ever since goalies started going to the RHV, than you can shake a stick at it. And I know I've gotten on a soapbox a lot about how much I don't like it. When goalies are facing shots that are in those corners and in those bad angles, I really feel it's imperative that your toes are facing the shooter. If somebody throws a pass, a real good pass, and let's just make sure it was in, it was. If somebody throws a real good pass and backdoors you from the corner, it's not the goalie, it's the D. Everybody here is covered. Coverage is great. He's squared here. Now watch. As the shot started, look at his right foot. Now he's unsquared. That's why the puck goes in. So he lost his angle. He lost being square to the puck. And that killed him in the long run. And trust me, he's not the only one who's a victim of it.
It was a broken play and missed pass. Dello takes advantage and just throws that desperation shot that beats Weniger. 2-1 Notre Dame leads, and maybe that makes up for Torrey Dello's 2 minor penalties that he took earlier in this period.
We in Goalie Nation and USA Hockey, all of us that are in the goaltender development program, the number one argument that we have at every meeting when it comes to curriculums and what we want to teach our goalies is whether or not we want to go back to the old style of squaring the dead angle shots and leaving the defense to cover the back doors as opposed to trying to do two things at the same time where you can get a little distracted.
Stewart pulls off Burkwell.
And Joe Exler from Michigan State should be calling us any minute because he's a big fan of what I'm not. And he and I go at it all the time on it.
Wegworth dropping to Malmquist. Stastny wants to join the play. He's game. Walks. And fires. That's knocked down. Burke there to pick up the rebound. It's Stastny once again. No relation to the great Stastny family from the National Hockey League. There's Jordan along the boards. Omaha failing to clear it. Malmquist. That's off a stick of Pulkkinen wide. Trying to jam it in and taking exception to that there. The goaltender, Evan Weniger, who has some bodies on top of him.
Got a little interesting is that started to bounce around, and Weniger had to look quickly behind him to make sure that that puck didn't find its way into the net, didn't crash into the net by Notre Dame, and it was a really good shift by Stastny too. His great angle here. Puck comes down low and off the block shot is where he gets scrambling, a little interference in front of the net as it lands, and now the goaltender Weniger trying to find it and make sure it stays out.
Jenkins battles off the face-off, but emerging out of the dust, it's Kevin Conley. Riley Alford and Conley continue to fight for the puck along the near boards. Stastny the intervention. Crisp outlet pass, and Notre Dame will shove it to center. 90 seconds to go in this opening period. St. Cyr. A little bit of a surprise starter over Cale Morris, the guy who carried him to the national championship game last season.
By the way, as this game goes on, keep an eye on 24 in blue. Stastny, he has been involved in the offense. On that last shift, he was almost in the middle of a 1-3-1 setup in the offensive zone, almost playing the role of a forward. He was one originally. There's a whole story of how he wound up on the back end and at Notre Dame. We'll get into that later. But keep your eye on 24 blue as an offensive-minded force on Notre Dame's back end.
48 seconds to go in the period. Konecny starts off the breakout. Keck, he's a speedster, but scalpeled off his stick by Cam Morrison, who will roll it in. Nosing around there is Graham. Morrison searching for space. It's O'Leary now, back for Graham. Morrison backing off as Olofsson looking for a safe place to break it out. Pressure too much from Notre Dame. There's Dello looking for another high shot. This one off target. And that's what happens when you miss the net from a tight angle all the way back into your own zone. Mike O'Leary and Notre Dame back to grab it and just watch time wind down as 20 minutes complete. It's Notre Dame on top 2-1. Coming up at the intermission, a Shireen ringside interview. Our own Ben Holden sits down with NCHC Commissioner Josh Fenton. Of course, first period highlights and stats.
I thought it was a good period for Notre Dame. I thought that as the road team, they obviously survived an early storm. Their response to goals against was pretty good. For Omaha, I thought at times they were a little flat, but they have established that they're going to go to the net all night. That's something Notre Dame's defense will talk about.
Yeah, and one thing Notre Dame has established that they want to do this year is start off better. It was not a perfect first period, but they lead the Mavericks 2-1 after 20 minutes. Trying to bring home the victory tonight on the road.
The Mavericks hosting number 2 Notre Dame in the home opener here at Baxter Arena. We're happy to welcome Dan Kelly to our CBS Sports broadcast team tonight. And look what Dan tweeted earlier this week. Can you see who wore it better? That is his father, the legendary Dan Kelly on the left. And Dan, I got to tell you, with you and your dad, I think you both look good in the Blazers. What a great way to follow in his footsteps.
Thanks so much, Shireen. You surprised me there. I wish for the viewers that my photo was in black and white as well, but we're in color currently. So reflecting back, and it's such an honor to carry his name, but Dave, reflecting back on that first period, we saw some spurts of physical play. If you see more of that, will it quicken the pace of the game between these two?
I'll tell you what, one guy who loves physical play is my father-in-law. It's his birthday today. I wanted to wish him a happy birthday. He loves when guys start banging bodies, and I think you're absolutely right. When you need to pick up the pace, the physical play will do that. But in the first period, a lot of what we saw was some scrambling play. The goal early on off the back of the kick play, a shot that went wide, then Notre Dame's Morrison pass on a power play goal here. Olsen takes some space. Notre Dame got caught standing around. Dello pitch in, finds some space, throws the puck to the front of the net. So two of the goals that Notre Dame scored, they're both scored where I think, A, you got the goaltender a little flat-footed on the second one, the defense a little flat-footed on the first one. That brings us to where we are.
Notre Dame, they have the advantage in shots, face-offs. Discipline's going to be a key, though, for the Fighting Irish. The Mavericks scored once on that power play, and they certainly look dangerous every opportunity they have. Well, Notre Dame probably a little lucky to have the lead after one period of play. They're on top of Omaha 2-1. Well, coming up next, the Air Force Falcons kick off Armed Forces Weekend on the gridiron as they take on the UNLV Rebels. Then tomorrow, Army collides with Miami of Ohio at noon, followed by the Houston Cougars battling Navy at 3:30, only on CBS Sports Network.
And somewhere in that mix will be our colleague Ben Holden, who carries the mail for a whole lot of football in the first half of the season.
We'll be back in the new year for more college hockey coverage, we promise. Just underway this second period.
Which means coffee sales across the NCHC will be going drastically up.
Time to check in with Shireen Saski, who caught up with Paul Pooley.
Well, I talked to the Notre Dame assistant coach right before they came on the ice. He said he liked how his Fighting Irish responded to the Mavericks scoring to tie that game at 1. He also said he liked the adjustments that his team was making on the ice and that they're moving the puck well. Guys?
So remember we talked a little bit right at the end of the period about the response that Notre Dame had when the Mavs tied the game, and Paul's an astute guy. He picks that up, and you know the other part of it was Notre Dame's penalty killing got better as the period went on. The first power play for Omaha, they had their way with them. You take a look at the next two, other than that break where they got called off. You take a look at the next two, and Notre Dame really cut down a lot of the chances that were better in their gaps.
Here's Cal Burke, right through the crease, looking for the stick there of Dylan Malmquist, but deflected out of play.
Dylan Malmquist is a guy that's got a great knack of being in the right place at the right time. His hockey IQ is terrific. You think back to last year in that regional in Connecticut when he scored a couple of huge goals by just getting out into good scoring areas, finding soft spots. This year he comes in as a guy that can either make plays or score goals. But the thing I like about him, and he reminds me of some of the great players that have played in this conference, he just has that real good knack of putting himself in soft spots with his stick open, and he's got a great release.
There's Graham. Now O'Leary with the turn, and that backhand shot is put wide. Now it's the Mavericks beginning the breakout. Galt will dump in. Conley tears it after it. Bodied away from the puck beautifully there by Hellickson. Those are some of the small details that Jeff Jackson tries to preach to this Notre Dame team.
It's hard to be a great player when your fundamentals are only good.
Graham's shot is stopped by Weniger.
And a lot of kids get away from that. A lot of kids, sometimes you get away from your fundamentals, and you realize that later on they're really hard to correct. And to me, whether you're Notre Dame or Omaha or any of the teams in college hockey, and let's filter down to junior hockey, and then U16, U14, U12. If coaches aren't stressing fundamentals, if coaches aren't stressing skills, it is really hard to do what these guys are doing at this level, at this pace, shift by shift, when those little things aren't good. Catch and shoot, how to catch a pass properly, how to shoot on your stride, face-off technique, foot positioning, using your edges. All those things matter in the big picture.
Bukta leads the charge. That weak backhand shot dribbling wide, but he's able to catch up to it.
And I say this based on the fact that I spent a lot of time in youth hockey and spent a lot of time watching college hockey. So you definitely see where one leads to the other and where the lack of fundamentals doesn't allow the players that want to get to this level to get there.
Talk to a lot of NHL players that played for Jeff Jackson collegiately, and they call him one of the greatest hockey minds they've ever met. Dave, what makes him a great hockey mind, Notre Dame's head coach?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things. His X's and O's are terrific.
And Steves has his shot blocked. The follow through. Pavanka can't get it through as well.
He's an excellent motivator, and he's got a really good ability to recognize what a player is, what they need to do next, and teach them the things that they need to do to get there, whether it be through video, whether it be on the ice, whether it be just through drill and practice setup. And Notre Dame, when you watch them practice, and I used to think the same way when Tim Whitehead coached at Dame, when you watch Notre Dame practice, they are so dialed into doing the details right. That is one of those things, the repetition of the important skills is one of the reasons why I think he turns out really good hockey players.
The number one priority for a coach is to communicate with the players and relate to them. Here's Morrison, scored in that first period. This is sails wide of the goal. Calmly picking it up along the far boards. Mike O'Leary looking for a spot, and that is off the paddle or knob of the stick of Evan Wenninger and out of play. Shireen has more on the guy nicknamed JJ.
Thanks, Dan. You guys talk about the success he's had over the years. It is by no surprise, this man always evaluating, always learning. When the Irish lost to Denver 6-1 in the national semis in 17, Jackson said his team needed to focus on attention to detail. They did that, and last year they made it to the championship game. What happened? They gave up 2 goals in the first to Duluth. They lost the national championship. This year, a focus is scoring first. They've done that tonight. Guys?
Yeah, what a fun group that was for him to coach last year.
Led by Jake Evans, who is now with us in Montreal and shook off an injury early on to get back and play. And, Evans was terrific. Ben Ogilvie, another real good player. Jordan Gross on the back end was terrific. He had a real good leadership core last year, and he feels like he's got the same thing this year in this group. A little bit younger, but loves the character and loves the effort that his team puts in every night, led by a guy like Joe Weber at 21 in blue, who you're constantly seeing as the F1 on the forecheck and getting teams to turn pucks over.
It's early. We'll take a peek at the national poll. Notre Dame there, second spot.
And UMD will see Notre Dame next week. Think about Notre Dame's schedule the next 3 weeks and think back to last year's Frozen Four. They get Minnesota Duluth next weekend. They get Ohio State the weekend after. Then they go to Michigan. So all of a sudden you got 2 conferences where on a week-to-week basis, NCHC and the Big Ten, you got 2 conferences where there are no more easy weekends.
Well, 9 new faces, and you're going to find out what you got in a hurry.
Especially with that schedule.
Wedged out by Tyson. Steves on the forecheck, along with Jensen. And Omaha navigates away from that. Flung in by Alford. The Mavericks are changing, so some time and room here on the breakout for Notre Dame. Out shooting Omaha. 12-5, and they lead 2-1. Bad spot to turn the puck over. This is Jenkins. Eyes his options. Hellickson on the point, and able to see that the whole way with Wenninger. Jenkins takes a stab at the one-timer. It's blocked, lifted ahead. Watch out. Breakaway Cole pickup in on goal, and St. Cyr the save on pickup.
Great speed and great goaltending gap by St. Cyr.
Keeps this a 1-goal game. Dello got a stick on it, slowing up the Mavericks. Steves will send it in. Haven't seen much of that physical play that we anticipated so far, 5 minutes into this second.
Notre Dame's really comfortable in the way that they're playing right now, evidenced by, A, the amount of chances they're getting offensively, how they're getting to the net, and their ability to get inside and make plays inside the blue line.
Well, it was Cole picking it up at center, marching in for a breakaway. Dylan St. Cyr, the sophomore, there to stop him.
Mike Evident, in his second year with the program, after a year as an assistant coach, he said the goal here is to get the older guys to show the kids the ropes, what it takes to belong in this program, at this level, in this league. And what I thought was interesting is he said, we don't want a culture from their veterans of, this is my time. We want our veterans to be leaders. We want our veterans to lead by example so that they can develop that culture in their younger players to start carrying on the vision that Gabinet has for this team of being solid in its play, solid in its process, and a consistent contender to win the NCAA.
He's so experienced as a player here at Omaha, draft choice of the Los Angeles Kings, playing in the AHL, ECHL in Europe before he became a coach in 2012. Here's Bobby Nardella. Slams it down low. Grappling it with it there was Mike O'Leary. Maintains control, but the puck leaves the zone.
The one thing you don't want to do is get lackadaisical with a puck in either blue line. We call it the gray zone. 5 feet inside and outside either blue line. And that's where you don't want to get caught on your backhand without the ability to protect the puck. You don't want to get caught where you can't make a decision or you hesitate. That's where O'Leary just got caught. And it could have been a dangerous turnover the other way.
Good gamble by Malmquist to hold the puck in, but the Mavericks are able to slide it away. And icing, and Shireen has more on the Mavericks head coach Mike Gabinet.
Well, Mike brought in a new assistant this year in Paul Gerard, and this is someone Mike Gabinet knew very well from his playing days in the AHL when Gerard was his coach. Now, Gabinet said he remembers so much that Gerard put him through hard skates day after day. Gerard said, hey, wait a sec, I didn't put anyone through hard skates, I just maintained the guys. One thing both coaches like about the other, the character and the intelligence they bring to the game. Guys?
I like that phrase. I don't condition skate, I maintain skate.
Here's Burke. That shot well off target.
Trust me, that nomenclature will make its way into USA Hockey's guidelines starting tomorrow morning. I love it.
Doesn't sound drooling like it usually is. Good mobility from Peak, and now with the puck. Big Joe Wegworth, he's a plugger and a power forward there, number 21, trying that power move from behind the goal.
You know, the one thing about Wegworth, and when you watch him play, you notice a couple things. He wins a ton of battles. He can really play heavy. And when he starts to lean on defensemen is where he makes things happen. There's going to be a penalty on Omaha here as Notre Dame will get a chance to go back on the power play. But, you know, Wegworth is one of those guys that, and Jeff Jackson said it, he's more heavy offensively than he is defensively. But the defensive part of his game has really come along. But he is just this big rig, north-south kind of skater who, when he's barreling down on you, even though you know he's not going to blow you up, he could still intimidate you enough. You know, you don't make the play you want with the puck.
Big plugger, as Coach Jackson calls it.
Think about him back in the 80s when you can dump a puck in a corner and go, you know, get on somebody. He would have been a terror.
Smallage off for slashing. First power play of this period goes to Notre Dame. Ripped in by Hellickson. Jones looking to clear, and both battlers there lose an edge. It's kept in by Hellickson for Notre Dame. Tyson, the high shot, shoulder to side by Winiger. Stastny to Hellickson, over to Tyson. The puck bouncing all over, but Notre Dame somehow maintains control. Morrison through the seams. Stastny, and that's tipped wide. Michael Pavanka was standing in front, or rather Jake Pavanka.
I was in Baltimore when Michael Pavanka was playing in Washington. We were the farm team for them, so trust me, I get it. Mike Pavanka was a really good player. The penalty was a slash, which put Notre Dame on this power play. The one thing I think Omaha is flirting with disaster when it comes to this penalty kill that they were just a part of is they allowed Notre Dame's point guys to get underneath the high forwards in the coverage. So all of a sudden, it went from 5-on-4 to 5-on-3 at times. I think that the anticipation factor from the short-handed players here, they're trying to jump some routes and go the other way, create a little action, but they allowed good looks for the points.
There's Malmquist setting up Peak for the one-timer, blasting it wide. Bobby Nardella will hold in. 55 seconds to go on the power play. There's Wegworth. Malmquist, Wegworth scooting his way in. And it's covered and smothered by Winiger and the Mavericks.
So when we talk about fundamentals and we talk about puck protection and the important things for big players, watch big Wegworth here. So he finds a lane to the net. Once he plays catch a little bit, finds a lane to the net. Now he's got some space. Look at him protect the puck. So he turns his back to the attacker coming at him. So instead of coming chest out and attacking the net and risking somebody knocking the puck off the stick, he does a little bit of the duck walk there, uses his rear end to protect the puck and makes an inside curl in front of the net. You see it more and more forwards using that technique to go to the net than the old style jam play of turning around to get on your forehand and stuffing it from in front.
Adding to his repertoire, working on those Crosby and Malkin power moves as well. Down to 30 seconds left in the advantage for Notre Dame.
And it's funny, a lot of players of both teams, when we talked to them this week, talked about Crosby and how much film they watch on Crosby and how underrated his strength on the puck and how underrated his strength on his stick when he's controlling the puck being a factor to his success. A neat little lesson that the players are learning.
Even off the faceoffs, noting his leverage and power. Single digits left in this advantage. Primo got to stick to it, muddling that play by Notre Dame. Now Nardella with a blast, and that's blocked by Stewart. Mavericks have returned to full strength, but not out of the woods yet. This is Wegworth. Calvert unable to settle that down, and Omaha will clear it. Nardella to Berg with Wegworth. Berg the shot right at the chest of Weniger.
Notre Dame's at the end of the long shift here.
Dello, the stand-up, it allows Hellickson to carry it out of trouble. Matt Hellickson, Steve shooting and down on his knees. Evan Weniger positioned perfectly to make the save.
This was interesting because Notre Dame could have changed. They decided to go one more rush. It was a good rush, but then they got caught and trapped. This is the far end of them coming back after Omaha had changed and Notre Dame had gotten some fresh bodies on the ice as Hellickson was able to push the pace. Both teams got caught in a long shift. Both teams got caught on a bad change, and Omaha almost found pay dirt by moving the puck to their side of the ice for a clearer path on a rush into the offensive zone. Notre Dame recovered well.
Jenkins picks it up along the far boards. Steve's the wraparound. Weniger was ready for it.
And Omaha's got to be looking at each other along the lines of, hey, it's about time we start what a lot of players like to call placing and go. You get through the neutral zone, and if you don't have a good chance on the rush, it's not the old dump and chase where you just fire it in. It's chip and chase, and the new wording is almost place and chase, where you're just pushing it past the defenseman to create a foot race, use your speed, and be able to gain the puck before it goes below the goal line so that you can continue your play. Then you can potentially go one side to the other to try to release the pressure and create offensive chances. But Omaha's got to do something to get puck control, to get north quickly, and to get pucks behind the Notre Dame defense where they can let their hard work start to help them, because Notre Dame has absolutely tilted the ice on them in the last 10 minutes.
Omaha, they struggled both second periods last weekend. And Notre Dame, they've been a good second period team recently, and that trend continues here on this Friday night in matchup number one between these two. O'Leary, Morrison, Graham. Oh, what a gorgeous goal. Finished off by Michael Graham, make it 3-1 Notre Dame.
It's the relentless pressure by the Fighting Irish that has been a huge part of this game. There's a one race. There's a puck in a dangerous area. Look at numbers on the puck by Notre Dame and a little backside pressure pickpocket. And then they let their skill go to work. They just plain flat out ganged up on the Omaha defense. They forced Bukta into a bad spot and then go to work as they make a pretty play. But it all started, it's usually 2 or 3 plays before the goal where the goal gets scored. It all started with winning a race on a 50-50 battle on the half boards, and Notre Dame has clearly been better in that area tonight.
So a little room to breathe now for the Fighting Irish, up by 2 on the road. Steves maneuvers his way in across the line, almost had a chance there off the turnover, but it's calmed down by the Mavericks.
And they've got Omaha concerned about where they want to put pucks. Notre Dame has taken away lanes. They've come through the middle out. They've played a really good inside-out game when Omaha's had the puck. So they've got a lot of Omaha's. There's good backside pressure. They've got a lot of Omaha's players second-guessing where they want to move the puck, and are they going to move the puck in a good space? It's been part of why Notre Dame's had the puck a lot.
Icing is the call with 9:05 to go in the second period.
And what all Omaha's trying to do is find an opening where they can get this crowd into the game. This kid Stewart, 18 in white, he's got a big shot. He's smart offensively. I talked about him and his partner earlier in the game. Him and Jones are the first pairing here. They're a good first pairing. They defer to each other very well, but anytime they get the puck to Stewart, for Stewart to let a big rip go, that's something that can start to generate some offense.
You have to think back to that Morelli goal that was eliminated after further video review for being offside. They've got this place going, Baxter Arena, but it's been pretty quiet ever since.
And part of the learning process that Mike Gavinet's talked about is those kinds of things. You get a call against you that kills your momentum, you got to forget about it. We like to joke about having a bartender's memory, but that's really the key to being a successful athlete. Forget what just happened and think about what has to happen next.
Ward makes a nice play from his stomach and ends up getting a little half shot there in front. Dylan St. Cyr was ready for it. Notre Dame has expanded their lead. Pinpoint passing. Michael Graham with the finish.
Notre Dame enjoying a 3-1 lead midway through the second here in Omaha. The Irish have had a lot to celebrate during this offseason. After all, winning the Big Ten championship and going to the Frozen Four, the championship game. And along the way, young Rudy Chapman was with the team through the NCAA tournament to the Final Four. He is named, yes, after Rudy Rudinger. And this Rudy is suffering from a rare form of bone cancer known as Ewing sarcoma. All of Notre Dame has become in love with Rudy. He is truly a part of the family. He ran onto the field at Notre Dame Stadium. Everyone was chanting his name. And guys, he even got to go to a special screening of the movie Rudy, the 25th anniversary. And guess who was there? The original Rudy himself. And I don't know who was more excited to meet the other.
That's a great story. That's what our game is all about, is those moments that they give those kids.
What an inspiration. Here's Zach Jordan, his centering attempt off a skate. And there's Cam Morrison to swoop in and pick it up. Looking for that centering attempt was Michael Graham, who minutes ago scored his first goal. Winiger the save, not once, but twice, as O'Leary had the try in front.
Omaha is puck watching a little bit too much for the coaching staff's liking. There is no way that they're not going to mention this to their players in between periods and bring it up on film. Here's a great individual effort by Stewart, 18 in white, to break this play up. And you see his partner comes in now. There's slot coverage, but there's a lot of open space, as you can see that the Omaha forwards that were up high were afraid to leave the point. But if the points are that high up and the puck's that low, you can, as a forward, cheat down a little bit, just to make the ability for the offensive team to make that low to high play a little bit harder by taking away lanes and by putting a little pressure on the puck carrier.
Here's Omaha with the opportunity, and the shot never really released as it was Steven Spinner, a Washington Capital draft choice, barging his way in. Malmquist the other way for Notre Dame. Burke blindly swings it in front. Wegworth was in the vicinity, but unable to get a stick to it. That second Notre Dame goal, the prayer of a shot from Dello in the near corner, has been changed. It appears O'Leary got a stick on it, so O'Leary now has that second goal for the Fighting Irish.
Bottom line is the goalie still wasn't squared.
Doesn't change that.
I don't care if you scored. The goalie wasn't squared. But it's amazing. Sometimes you give up a goal, and it's a good goal. Team makes a tic-tac-toe play. When you're on the opposing bench, you say to yourself, you know what? That was a heck of a play. Pretty good. But when you give up those dead-angle leakers, they kill you.
There's Galt in there looking for a rebound. Jenkins has lost his stick. He has time to pick it up now. And just as he does, Steves will clear for Notre Dame. This will be an icing.
So early on in the game, we talked about Omaha using the width of the rink, and here's a really, what we called before, a place and go. That's a perfect example of a place and go, or the old reference to the chip and chase. They get a puck wide, they get a puck behind the Notre Dame defense, as we alluded, was an important part of what they need to do to start generating offense, and then they can go to their strength, which is driving the net from a wide perspective. More of that will create more chances and get their heart rates up a little bit more and get their feet moving.
Is Notre Dame still pushing for that fourth goal, or are they a little more passive now with this 2-goal lead late?
Early on in Jeff Jackson's career, I'd say they were content where they are. Not anymore. I think the philosophy of Notre Dame has changed a lot. He gets criticized for being too defensive. And he said last year, good defensive teams generally win the Stanley Cup. But on the other hand, he has also made it very clear that Notre Dame is more than being really good defensively. And they spend a lot of time in their practices working on offensive concept and goal scoring.
That deflects right into the Maverick bench for a break in the action.
But what's the old expression? You can't do the tactical without being able to do the technical. So that goes back to their, same thing with both teams, it goes back to their emphasis on skill development. And that's where it comes down to. And that's where your team grows through the course of the year. This is still a development level for the next level. Only at the National Hockey League, where skill development is still important, but they're more ready-made there. Players don't come into the NCAA ready-made, and that's why it's important that each of these programs is doing what they do to develop that next level player.
Graham dropping to Morrison. Dello, that dipping shot, patted aside by Winiger. There's Bobby Nardella. And has there ever been a time in college hockey where the way the game is played, the pace of the game, has there ever been a time when there's been a better training ground in college hockey for the next level than now? Here's Galt off the shoulder of St. Cyr. Kick back to the point. Jordan looking for the deflection. Now Keck will chase it down. This is Zach Jordan, the big goal scorer for Omaha. Walks, fires. St. Cyr, an impressive stop considering all the congestion in front of him. It remains a Notre Dame lead, 3-1 with under 5 minutes to go in the second.
Omaha starting to make a push, and this is where it's real important that Dylan St. Cyr holds down the fort after some great offensive play by his group. So Omaha gets the puck, and they get a chance to get the puck D-to-D and move the puck up ice. And there's another of those little chips in place and a wide drive. So Notre Dame is Omaha is starting to get things going. And in that last flurry, you could see feet moving, winning some races, getting inside of the Notre Dame defense. And at the tail end of it, when we got the whistle to go to commercial, Zach Jordan, who we have alluded to, his great release and his ability to change games with one shot, finally got the best chance on a goal he's probably had all game. Good look at the net and produced a good rebound.
Teemu Pulkkinen, number 14. We haven't called his name too frequently this evening. Face-off controlled by Notre Dame, but whipped right into the Maverick bench again.
So Notre Dame is in the better of the play, let's say the first 13 minutes. The last 2 or 3, Omaha has been good. They weathered a storm for the most part because Notre Dame could have blown this game open. And like I just said, this is kind of the territory where St. Cyr will be counted on a little bit. He hasn't faced a whole lot of shots this period, and all of a sudden he had 3 or 4 and he was sharp. And this is where a guy like him earns his bacon. St. Cyr came to Notre Dame for the National Team Development Program, and there's a program that's developed some pretty good goaltenders over the years, starting with guys like Thatcher Demko and going along the lines that Ortinger and Woll, both playing in the Boston area, the first at BU, the second at BC. Really good goaltenders coming out of the NBTP.
Burke and Wegworth breaking out for Notre Dame. There's the chip, but the charge is slowed up, so it's Stewart. Not cleared by Omaha on that drifting shot from Peak. Handled, and really the first post-whistle friction we've seen between these two teams, tonight at least.
Guys getting after it. Stewart is not happy with Burke. That was the original combatants. Now, you got to be smart here because for Omaha, you finally picked up some momentum. Now, granted, banging some bodies and getting crowded a little bit, that's all well and good, but you can't go over the line and then take a penalty that get you back to ground zero. Take a little play here. Stewart goes, gets drilled by Burke. Pretty good shoulder-to-shoulder hit. Now they start coming back together, get at the front of the net. That's when you get the little mini Donnybrook, little face wash. Whole key here, keep your sticks down and don't do that thing that puts your team at that disadvantage. By the way, another real good lesson here, and I don't see enough coaches doing this, but another great lesson here is a lot of guys talk about going in to defend their teammates, right? And that old analogy of you going to defend your teammate by clobbering the guy that he's squaring off with. There's an art to going, I learned this in the minor leagues, there's an art to a teammate getting into the scrum, you grab your guy as opposed to going after the other team's guy just to get him out of there. You know, it's along the lines of, hey, don't take a penalty, point proven, let's get out of here. There's a skill to that, and I think referees appreciate that and notice that when it's going on the ice. I don't see as much of it as I used to, but it's something I would love to see come back because it, A, shows great camaraderie, and B, it shows a lot of hockey sense.
How much communication is there out on the ice between a typical player and referee during the course of the game?
I think it depends on the player and the official. There are some guys, both in the Big Ten and the NCHC, that are chatty official-wise. Steve McKinchak, who referees a lot of games in the Big Ten, who we know back from the CCHA days. Steve can be very chatty. Of course, he's got a great personality. He's funny, and he doesn't mind carrying on a conversation, especially a productive one. In this conference, a guy like Todd Jones is a guy that loves to carry on a conversation. When Derek Shepard was officiating, he would put on a one-man stand-up as the game was going on. So it just depends on the player and the official. If you get two guys that are type A personalities, there will be some chatter and some mutual respect going along. Other guys are pretty quiet and don't want to get involved in the minutia of chatter.
You see they're all gathered in the penalty box looking at video replay, looking for a potential face wash on Dean Stewart. Stewart, 6'2", was not too happy that the 5'10" Cal Burke ran into him a few seconds before this confrontation.
So there was contact to the face cages. Here's what they're looking at to see what that would be a call for. If they had put any more guys in the box, they would have to start serving drinks and hors d'oeuvres. It's getting a little busy in there. Getting sorted out. There's going to be a power play for Omaha coming at us. There's a minor off of the board to Notre Dame's Wegworth. He's the only one in the box right now. For a moment, there was an Omaha player in the box. He has since departed. That was Stewart.
This power play looked very dangerous in the opening period. That's how they got their goal, Omaha. From Olofsson, a power play goal. Stewart's leaving.
Well, I didn't hear the PA announcer make the calls. We'll get the official call on why Stewart's out. But as of right now, a 5-minute major just went up for Omaha. I will get you these penalties sorted out.
Another look at this battle. You see Dean Stewart doesn't really let up even on the way to the ice. A misconduct for...
Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Game misconduct for grabbing the face mask.
So they'll play 4-on-4 for the next 2 minutes, and then Notre Dame will be on a 3-minute all-you-can-eat. And they made hay against Mercyhurst last Friday night at the Icebreaker on a 5-minute major late in the game, scoring twice. And it was Blomqvist to Burke on both of them.
You would think another goal from Notre Dame, that might be enough. Jordan in the clear there, looking to go 5-hole on St. Cyr. Loses his stick, but he stops the puck. Bobby Nardella dropping to Malmquist. That shot, routine save there.
This might be the best thing for Omaha right now, 4-on-4. Notre Dame has done such a great job 5-on-5 at limiting time and space for Omaha, taking away lanes, playing from the middle to the outside walls, inside out, with one less body on the ice. This could open things up for Omaha.
Stastny, he could scoot the freshman there, looking to whip it in front, but Taken back over by Omaha. Teemu Pulkkinen kicking across the line, but the Mavericks are offside.
St. Cyr, great position. Look where he is. Once again, heels on the top of the crease when Jordan comes in and squeaks through his legs. I like where he was when he made the stop. That was pretty close, and Jordan has got that great release, as we have alluded to, as it's gone. Stats that you mentioned, the game that he's been playing, he was a forward for a long time, and Notre Dame took a look at him. They didn't have a ton of interest in him. Then he started playing on the back end when he went to the National Team Development Program. All of a sudden, they realized how well he can defend and how well he skates. Got it interesting.
Cap, Pulkkinen, oh, and on it. Booked the shot, is blocked as well. Best sequence of scoring chances from Omaha since the first period there.
How comfortable they look forward with more space now. Right now, all of a sudden, they're opening things up.
Now calling Pulkkinen's name. Before, it was Zach Jordan with the opportunity.
They didn't get a goal, but they got some momentum. They've got something to build on in these last 4 or 5 minutes.
Peak there, looking for the rebound. Slacker kicks it back to the point. Bobby Nardell and Notre Dame's power play underway. Over skating it there was Wegworth, and it's flipped to center by Omaha.
They get out of this period where they are right now. They go into the third period with some momentum. Notre Dame now on a major power play, so again, you can score at will here. But Omaha, in their last 5 or 6 minutes, they've been good. 4-4. They got some chances. They got close on that Jordan shot. They survived this. They're not in bad shape.
And they could gain some more momentum with the great penalty kill. Malmquist in front. Wegworth down to the ice he goes. Burke fishing for a rebound, but Weniger diving on him.
Walking in a guy that's a real good skater with good mobility, sneaks in behind the defense, and he's got the poise to try to make a move. And Hellickson at the last second, real good job on the stick, and the goaltender St. Cyr also causing a little interference as he got aggressive on the play. But Omaha was able to open things up, and the one thing about Pulkkinen, his mobility and his ability to hold the puck a little bit extra makes him dangerous when he gets towards the front of the net.
Play by Smallage to clear it before Burke to get his hands on it. Approaching the final 90 seconds of the second period. Notre Dame still with 2 minutes of power play time remaining. A little interchange with Malmquist and Andrew Peak. Peak saying he wants to work on his skating ability. He looks faster and more mobile this year. High shot, rebound, Peak! And that was elevated high and wide. Weniger might have caught a piece of it. Now Peak back defensively there to save the day as Kevin Conley was ready to strike in front.
I'll tell you what, Notre Dame got real close to too many men. It wasn't a great change. It's an icing instead as they try to launch a quick stretch pass out. And boy, did Omaha ever get close. Kevin Conley was in front of the net. On a play like that, and Conley knows that he probably would want to put the brakes on and gone towards the puck as opposed to waiting for the puck to come to him because it was slow. He was also at the end of his shift. He might not have had enough gas to put the brakes on, restart the engine, and go chase that puck down.
Malmquist holds off Alfred. Off the face-off, Notre Dame controlling, still on the power play. 50 seconds to go in the period. A hand pass is why we hear the whistle. Well, coming up at intermission, Shireen will do her thing with a ringside interview, NCHC storylines, highlights, and stats through 2 periods of play.
Lucas Bucht is a guy playing on the back end here. Remember when Dean Blaze was coaching this team? You know, Dean always talked about Bucht being the type of player that off the ice took great care of himself. Great nutrition, his training habits were good, his rest and recovery were good. And you know what's interesting? A lot of players have talked about attending NHL development camps in July, and the #1 topic for them in terms of what they learned, how to recover and how to treat their bodies. Huge component to success on the ice is being fresh when you get on it.
And now it's Notre Dame on the power play. Yeah, they think they have it figured out, and then they see the next level, and their eyes are widened a little more. Stastny, Tyson, gloved down there by Weniger. Tyson on the rebound. Della, good puck movement here from Notre Dame on the power play. Dello will keep it in. 15 seconds to go in the period. Tyson swings it back to Stastny. He sees room. Stastny, that's off the stick of Weniger. Eventually finds Tyson. Morrison with intentions there to play it off the pad. Looking for the rebound with Spencer Stastny. Time runs out on Notre Dame. They'll start off the final period of regulation on the power play for the first 33 seconds. That's the end of 2 periods. Notre Dame leading Omaha 3-1. You're watching college hockey on CBS Sports Network. Got a battle going on here. 2 periods complete. Notre Dame leading Omaha by 2 with Dave Starman. I'm Dan Kelly. Welcome back to the broadcast booth. 6th year of the NCHC, and we look at some of the top storylines in those coaches, Dave. They just keep getting younger, especially at the University of Denver.
Absolutely, where David Carl takes over for Jim Montgomery, who is matriculated up to the National Hockey League with the Dallas Stars, and Brett Lawson goes from being the assistant coach of the national champion University of Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs to St. Cloud State. Both really young, both real progressive. A little bit of a difference in intensity. David Carl is a real type A in a different way than Jim Montgomery was, but he's a very progressive, push the pace, fundamentals-based coach. I like Brett Lawson's philosophy too. Brett is very good with the X's and O's, very good command of the game, and very good command personnel. I think they're both going to do extremely well, and St. Cloud's got a good team.
This has been a commanding conference. Just 5 years complete, already 3 national championships. Is the 4-peat on the way?
It's interesting. Josh Fenton, the commissioner, was up here in the booth earlier. We were chatting a little bit about that. We look at Minnesota Duluth as very similar to what Denver was the year before. They lost a little bit, but they didn't lose a ton. There's enough there that they could make another run. Their goaltender's back, which is the same thing with Denver when Tanner Gillette was back. They've got a lot of their core back. I think losing Carson Kuhlman, who is a tremendous leader and a big game goal kind of guy like a Malmquist, and a guy like Joey Anderson, who is a really good offensive player who helped to drive their engine a lot of different ways. Those are losses they need to overcome, but it's a team that's got a lot of veterans who know how to win big games. Well, that championship success even more impressive when you consider 3 different winners of those national championships. But the up-and-coming team, who are you keeping your eyes on for this conference? I'll tell you what, this Omaha team is a team that I think you got to keep an eye on as they go along, but the team that I'm really excited about right now is Colorado College under head coach Mike Haviland, who's now been in college hockey a few years, has now brought his guys in who play his style and understand his culture, and whether it's Alex Brodinelli or Weston Michaud, Grant Cruikshank, Mason Berg has been great, and they got the young kid Alex Leclerc, is now a junior, who I think is a tremendous goaltender, smaller kid, but great reflexes, who has stolen games for them. So now, all of a sudden, I think CC is starting to percolate. And it wouldn't surprise me if they make a run into the NCAA where they're challenging somewhere in that 4 to 5 range. Oh, yeah, and the timing's perfect. The new building on the way for Colorado College. 2 periods complete here from Nebraska. We'll look at highlights and stats when we return to Baxter Arena. A pretty comfortable lead for the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, leading the Omaha Mavericks 3-1 here at the break. 1 period of regulation to go, and it was Notre Dame hoping to start better this year. They certainly did tonight. Cam Morrison taking advantage of the bouncy boards. Little play off the kick plate, almost like a set play. It's becoming now with the lively backboards around a lot of these arenas. And Notre Dame takes a 1-0 lead, but on the power play, Omaha comes back, and it's kind of an interesting play. As we roll it through here, there's a great pick that gets set. As the exchange happens here, stop it right there. You see the pick that's in the left part of your screen. Now roll it through, because look at the amount of space that Olofsson has, and he takes advantage of every bit of it. Roll it through, go, go, go. Now you get challenged, now you shoot, push St. Cyr back. I thought it was a great piece of hockey poise and hockey IQ by Olofsson. Then play into the corner, Anthony Dello drove down towards the corner, fired it towards the net, got the goaltender off his angle, 3-1. Notre Dame continued to push a little tic-tac-toe off of winning a race at the half boards and then attacking a defenseman on his backhand with numbers. They cause a turnover and make it 3-1.
You see Notre Dame, they ramped up the shot production in the second period, now doubling up Omaha. Also an advantage in face-offs, only 13 shots on target for the Mavericks. That's got to change in the third period if they're going to tie this one up.
And it started to towards the end of the period. Omaha comes into this period, I think, with a little momentum.
We'll see what the third period has in store. Beautiful Friday evening in Nebraska. Well, the Mavericks of Omaha hoping some late momentum from a solid penalty kill will help them here in the final period of regulation as they're down by 2. As we flash back to 2015 when this young program made an NCAA tournament appearance, made it all the way to Boston for the Frozen Four, where they faced Providence in the semifinal. The Friars jumped out to an early 2-0 lead, but Omaha's Jake Gensel quickly cut the lead in half. Providence proved to be too much for the Mavs, winning that game 4-1 and eventually taking the title. What a career it's turned out to for Jake Gensel, scoring big goals in college as well.
Oh, has he been wonderful to watch, and what a great success story. Yeah, he was real good here. I'm not so sure anybody saw what was coming, but it's amazing that nobody's surprised by it either.
Well, Shireen is joined by Omaha's head coach, Mike Gabinet.
Thanks, Dan. Well, Coach, you're down 2 and down a defenseman. What's the difference here in the third? What do you need to do?
Yeah, we got to get back to a little bit of the stuff we were doing in the first period there. Get skating. We're watching a little bit, allowing him to our D zone, and we're kind of dying a slow death right now in that second period. So we got to pick up the tempo here, get pucks north, get their D-man turning a little bit, and get our forecheck established.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. Dan?
Thanks, Shireen. A calm, cool, composed 37-year-old head coach ready for this third period.
And I think he's bang on, and I think that a lot of what we talked about during period number 2 is a lot of the things that he saw from bench level 2, and I love that expression. They were dying a slow death in the second period. They were puck watching a lot. They were letting Notre Dame dictate a lot of the pace, and then all of a sudden, one good rush, one place and go by their offense got him a chance at the net. The bench stood up, and all of a sudden everybody got excited. It's one of those things where you need a spark. You need one thing to happen to get everybody to start believing again, and get everybody to wake up again, and get everybody out of the malaise that they were in for a large part of that second period. And killing that 3-minute major allows them to come to this period to build on a good last 7 minutes and a really good penalty kill.
You touched on it. What really sparked their players, a little 4-on-4 hockey, and it fit their game well in the second period. They've got some penalty killing work still. 28 seconds left in this Notre Dame power play. They would like to put this thing away. Peak crossed up with Malmquist. Alfred, a short-handed try from about 40 feet out, and that's squeezed by Dylan St. Cyr.
So when you look at Omaha's lineup, you say to yourself, you got Olofsson, who's a real big, strong kid who can make plays happen. Zach Jordan, guy with a great release, can make goals. But Riley Alford, to me, and watch how he takes faceoffs. He's got the long stick. Look at the scoop that he does. Watch him. As he comes in, he doesn't try to power through. He scoops through with that big stick. Loses that one to Malmquist, but he's got a nice technique on when he comes into the faceoff and trying to get underneath and get his stick turned very quickly. He's got speed, he's got skill, and he's a kid who can factor into period number 3.
Good advice for young hockey players. He says you need to have 3 real good different looks at the face-off circle, but you want them to look similar right before that puck drop to help disguise it.
And it's interesting because we talked to Olofsson about face-offs this morning. We talked to Alfred about face-offs this morning. And Olofsson's a little bit more of a power guy. Reminds me a lot of Rodney Brindamore with the way he takes face-offs. And when I look at a guy like Alfred, you know, Alfred just keeps he's got that big stick, trying to get underneath. I like the technique. He's a smaller kid, but he gets nose over the puck in pretty good rotation.
Did you say Ray Ferraro's famous line, the good thing about being small is you're always small, so you're kind of used to it.
You don't have to grow into your frame when your frame hasn't grown. You know, like the bigger kids, if you're 6'3" and 190 pounds when you're 17, you've got 3 or 4 years where you literally have to grow into your frame and figure out how it works. It takes a long time to get some of those long levers moving, right? But with the little guys, you get nose over the puck, you get knees bent, you get strength in your lower body and your core, and you can be incredibly effective in one-on-one battles and in face-offs because you can get your shoulders underneath the guy you're fighting the puck against.
Use that size disadvantage to your advantage. Both teams have returned to full strength. Morrison, the board battle. Konepke there for Omaha. Graham, who scored his first collegiate goal last period. Morrison to Nardella, and that missed along the ice. O'Leary trying for the deflection, but it's picked free by Konepke and Omaha. Tossed in by Zach Jordan. There's Olofsson using his size and reach to help hold the puck in. Keck whipping it down low. Jordan uses his body well to release off of Nardella. Morrison there up to challenge the points, and he blocks Ryan Jones' attempt.
When you're on your off wing and you're getting pressured from the inside, and the guy comes at you with his stick out, it's really important you don't try to force it into the middle, because you're forcing it into the defender's sweet spot. That's one of those plays where you chip pucks down the wall, try to find a low play, get yourself in better position to get the puck back. And I thought that Jones has been okay tonight, forced that one into a bad area.
Matt Steves will slide it in there. Sneaking in there's Jenkins, surprising the Mavericks, but they escape any further damage. Check in with Shireen one more time.
Hey guys, take a look at Evan Weninger. He's got a little bit of a different look for this period, wearing his backup mask. Right now the equipment staff is frantically working on his regular mask. I'll keep you posted when it comes back in.
You want to rattle a goalie. That could help rattle him.
So you missed the old days where you just had the same standard Cooper helmet with that big HM30 cage. You had 3 of them. They all felt the same. They all looked the same. They all worked the same.
We'll let that trickle through his crease for another icing against Notre Dame.
There's a lot of great masks that are out there now with the goalies, and a lot of great designs. There's a lot of guys that are doing them. As a matter of fact, Hunter Biska used to play at Minnesota Duluth. His dad designs a lot of masks. The original cage combo, which is what that's called, was designed by a guy out of Toronto named Greg Harrison. I forgot his name for a second. It was Greg Harrison. He had a warehouse in this industrial park in Toronto, right near the airport. And he did the first ones for, like, Dave Dryden was one of the guys who wore the first ones. You come in, and the way all these guys are doing it, you literally lay down on this table, and they put a straw in your mouth, and then they plaster over your face to make a mold. And that's how they make these masks. And at the college level, you know, there was some talk for a while about those, especially at the USA Hockey level. They worried about the wide eyes. They've got that situation under control, but then the artistry came in. And what Greg Harrison always told me was he tried to paint a mask that matched the personality of the goalie that he was painting it for. But that was the original back in the 80s, early 90s of the cage combo.
Pavanka in, pulls it to the forehand and lifts it high and wide.
And I apologize for that senior moment that I forgot Greg's name.
You, like a lot of young goalies, I'm sure you chose that position because of the equipment, and the equipment even gets cooler every day now.
It really does. Boy, I'd love to play with these lightweight pads too. But no, actually, it's funny. Back in the old days, you played goal for a number of different reasons. Either A, you didn't have skates, you know, that's especially on the street hockey side. B, you might have been an asthmatic. That was my case. That's how Jacques Plante got started playing goal, because he couldn't breathe when he was skating. So those are 2 of the reasons. Or 3, you were the younger brother like Tony Esposito, and the older brother needed somebody to shoot at.
Here's Malmquist looking for somebody to shoot at. He saw Burke streaking towards the goal, but regathered by Teemu Pulkkinen in Omaha. Pulkkinen leads the drive down the far side. Mason Morelli tries to feed the point, but Burke is there as he stumbles. Wegworth will pick it up. The back pressure too much. It's Morelli whipping it across for Zach Jordan, and just the little delicate stick of Nardella to jab it loose. And now it's Bobby Nardella over the line, but offside.
Bobby Nardella has become a really good player in his Notre Dame lineup. Guys like Robbie Russo, who came before him, who Nardella knew from back home, and Jordan Gross, who he played with. Nardella was able to learn a lot from them about the offensive part of the game, about shooting versus passing, good puck distribution. He also had a great mentor in his dad, Bob Nardella. Played a long time in pro hockey, a long career with the Chicago Wolves in the American Hockey League. He talked a lot about the influence that his dad had on him, and from an early age, he was encouraged to use his skating skills to get into play and be an offensive-minded defenseman. That's really starting to come together for him here in his senior year.
Yeah, he knew with the departure of Jordan Gross that he would have bigger responsibilities, and so far flourishing on the blue line in his senior year. Jordan winding up, the big man. Whip it in over the head of St. Cyr. Graham. Second wave. It's Mike O'Leary dumping it in. Notre Dame in the midst of a line change, so keeping everything safe right in front of their bench area. Well, the Mavericks, their head coach Mike Cabinet said in the second period they were dying a slow death, trying to avoid that fate here in the third period. The little dump and now the chase.
The trick on the dump and the chase, or the place and go, is the chase and the go. And Notre Dame's defense in this period has been pretty good at getting those loose pucks that have gotten pushed in. And there's really an art to the place and go and the chip and chase in terms of placement of the puck in an area where you can win your race. You don't want a lot of defensemen to get a whole lot of steam to go back and get pucks.
Evan Weniger covers it up for a face-off. 3-1 Notre Dame here in the third period.
Who is now back in his original mask, so we can all rest safely. So that the preferred gear is back at the head of the goaltender.
I think I caught him celebrating Winnie the Pooh with the design on the back of his mask, keeping it creative. Jake Pivonka. Missing that pass was Graham Slaggert. There's Slaggert. Tucks it in front, but no one there for Notre Dame, and they'll collect it back near their own blue line. Well, the Fighting Irish, they've taken the crowd out of this one. Steves on the forecheck, hassling the defense.
By the way, as young as Andy Slaggert, their assistant coach, looks, no, he did not come out of retirement, rejoin the Irish.
It's a family tradition. It's a great game of hockey. Ryan Galt will push it off the boards. Triples in hard enough that it is an icing, and Shireen Saski's got a nice little story on a clever nickname.
Talk about the family tradition at Notre Dame. They certainly have it. And freshman Graham Slaggert, who is the son of Andy Slaggert, the associate coach for Notre Dame, well, he grew up around this program. As young as 5 years old, he was around this team, and Jeff Jackson said he looks at him like a grandson. But when Graham decided he wanted to come to Notre Dame, Jeff said, listen, our relationship is going to change. And all of a sudden, the kid who was nicknamed Crackers by Jeff Jackson in the game against the under-18 team, he got benched when he turned the puck over. Times have changed. Guys?
I like it, Graham Crackers. What's interesting was, in tying in Omaha, I remember when he and his brothers were young kids, and I was doing a game at Notre Dame against Omaha when Dean Blaze was coaching. This is 2010, coming right off of the World Juniors, where Dean had led us to a gold medal. And the Slaggert boys are ready to get on the ice after the Omaha morning skate. And instead of Andy going out with them, Dean Blaze said, why don't you guys come out with me? And Dean did a 30-minute or so private lesson with the Slaggert boys on the ice. And when they came off the ice, I don't know who had a bigger smile, Dean or the kids, but it was such a cool moment to see. Now, here you fast forward 8 seasons later, here's Graham Slaggert playing against Omaha. Very cool stuff.
In the middle of the screen, they're looking at this hit here.
And they're looking for contact to the head is what they're looking for. Which, on video review, you're allowed to do. That looked more shoulder to shoulder than anything on the 2 replays we're seeing. But I do like the fact that you can check to see whether or not it's a major. That looks, you see the follow through on the left arm by Malmquist? That's what raises the concern level of the officials because of the arm coming up. You're normally on a call, if you could just go shoulder to shoulder, keep your elbow down, nothing really happens. But what they're looking for is whether or not the follow through had contact to the head, or whether or not it was shoulder to the head or shoulder to shoulder.
It's going to be a 2-minute minor for that contact to the head.
So what they're saying is indirect contact to the head is what they're saying is there's no targeting. The attacking player was not trying to target a defensive player, a defenseless player, and that some part of the player that took the penalty, some part of their equipment made incidental contact, but not intentional.
But you're right. I think that red flag, the referee was seeing that arm go up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So a big power play here for Omaha. Jones on the point. Morelli. 1 against 2 in behind the goal. There's Olofsson, the goal scorer for the Mavericks, and that's just a bad bounce on Ryan Jones, sending him back.
On this power play, you've got Zach Jordan, who's a right-handed shot. He's on the left side, and you've got Olofsson, who's a left-handed shot on the right side. Both of them are legitimate threats to score from distance with a shot. And then you've got the front of the net by Polkinen, who's got a real good offensive stick.
A skill play by Olofsson to take that pass off his skate, kick it up to a stick. Now the redirection in front is wide. It was Polkinen parked in front. Short-handed. Cal Burke in the clear, shoots. Big save. Evan Weniger, the biggest save we've seen in this game.
Been a tough couple of plays for Jones at the point. There was the bobble, and then there was a crazy bounce off the glass that got by him that allowed Burke to go. And what an anticipation by Burke to attack the defenseman at the point, and then Reed, it was continuing to go out of the zone, and he chased it down.
Keck with Scholes, back to Keck, cranking it wide. 35 seconds to go on the power play. Oh, and what a recovery there to prevent a possible breakaway. Jalen Schultz, the defensive work. As Notre Dame was ready to go. Alfred, spinner, driving it in. Nardella hurriedly up the wall. Knocked down with a high stick, so the Mavericks don't want to touch it. They do, and they hear a whistle as we look at both teams exchanging chances at either end.
Well, we talked about Polkinen having that good offensive stick, and there's a great setup coming from Olofsson off the wing, and Polkinen stood his ground and got the tip he wanted. And then here comes Cal Burke, the power play hero from last week, driving off the wing, and Weniger, he got Weniger to open up the wickets. Look at the stick of Weniger goes to the right as he's going to the left. But the athleticism of Weniger and getting the pad down helps him make that stop. And like I said, he reminds me a whole lot of when Chris Terreri was playing in the NHL. Chris, as you know, played his college hockey at Providence College.
Notre Dame has returned to full strength. Malmquist out of the box. There's Dylan Malmquist. Kicks it back to the point. Weniger, the save there on Stastny. 3 shots during that power play for Omaha. They get close, but still trailing by 2 goals. Flicked in softly by Graham, allowing Morrison time to catch up to it. Taken back over by the Mavericks. Only had it for a moment. There is Michael Graham lifting it in. He spars a bit in front of the bench areas with Taylor Ward. Zach Jordan, that extra move, and it throws Olofsson in ahead of the play offside. Not a lot of people picking Omaha this season in the preseason poll. 7 out of 8 teams in the NCHC.
So you keep your eye on CC. Keep your eye on Miami too. Miami's got a somewhat new coaching staff with the exception of their head coach Rico Blasi. They've got a lot of new faces. That could be an interesting team to watch. They've got youth and they've got skill.
Konecki releasing the high shot, never gets through. Olofsson picks the rebound loose. Konecki again. There's Malmquist blocking it. A whip around shot there from Keck is blocked, and Notre Dame out of the dust. It's Wegworth dumping it in. 2-man forecheck for the Fighting Irish here midway through the 3rd period. 3-on-3 developing the other way as Hellickson forcing the Mavericks into the corner.
Great job by Notre Dame getting numbers back against the rush.
Jones down for Polkinen. Morelli there, unable to beat Hellickson to the puck, and the Fighting Irish will slide it away. Bukta quickly up ice. Morelli. Notre Dame a chance to clear it. They don't. Mason Morelli. That's blocked by Andrew Peet. It's Slaggert. Sees he has support around him, so he'll dump it in on the backhand. Big forecheck coming in from Notre Dame.
Bravaka was good, I thought, against Mercyhurst. Bravaka was pretty good against Providence, and he's been good tonight. And as we alluded to earlier, he could be that number 2 center they're looking for.
Jenkins, Klorman ripping that wrist shot high and wide.
He is big, he is heavy. He's got his dad's hockey sense. He's got his dad's number. He's got his dad's ability with the puck down low below the goal line, and I love how well he can play in the coverage defensively in terms of playing the center role, helping out the defense. There's a lot to like about this kid.
Jeff Jackson says thick like a fire hydrant. Konecny the drive. You see a few waves of blocks there from Notre Dame. That shot didn't have a chance of getting through. Tyson, he was ready for that engagement before the puck arrived. One of the reasons Notre Dame possessing here. Hoisted in. Offside with 8:22 remaining in the third period. Notre Dame maintaining this 2-goal lead on the road. Would love to walk away with a Friday night victory here early in the season.
Omaha needs to show some continued fight here. They've narrowed the gap a little bit in terms of the shots on goal and have generated some offense. But one thing I think Coach Gavin's going to talk to his team about is sustained offense. And the one thing that a lot of his players talked to us about this week was the thing they're looking for more than anything is shift by shift consistency. It's not something they've had tonight. They've had it where they've strung 5 or 6 shifts together, but then they've gone some stretches where not a lot's happened.
Ooh, Wegworth had some room up high. Burke nosing around for the rebound as well, but it's Olofsson escaping for Omaha. Speed, though, of Hellickson back to nullify that. Andrew Peak draws a crowd in the near corner calmly. Hellickson for Malmquist. And it's Chip in deep. Dylan Malmquist checks to see who's coming and see who's with him. It's Burke. Nardella streaking in. Bobby Nardella just lost control of it and then went into a setup roll, but it's recovered by Omaha. 7.5 minutes to go. Primo right in front. That low shot off the stick of Sundberg, handled by St. Cyr, and now it's cleared.
And that was Omaha trying to make a centering pass. Primo, who wound up setting at the length of the ice. So anybody wondering about why there was no icing, that is why. And Primo has been pretty good below the goal line and is showing a lot of what he could potentially become with this team.
Well, look at Jones taking the initiative, the defenseman with his team down 2 goals late. Chase Primo. Right in front, jamming away at it was Pickup, who had that breakaway try earlier in this game. And Weniger, with Graham bearing down on him, decides to cover it. As we look at some of the most tenured coaches in the NCHC conference, times are a-changing. Of course, Rico Blasi started when he was about 12, so he's got a good 20-year run.
Still looks pretty young, too. And Scott Sandelin right behind him. Andy Murray has done a nice job with that Western Michigan program. And as you can see the list going down, and Mike Gavin here in his second year. It's funny, I remember when I started doing these games 16 years ago, I was kind of the baby of the bunch. Fred Pletch was doing a lot of games for FS Detroit. Doug Woog was doing a lot of games at FS North.
Here's Notre Dame with the chance right in front off the draw. Parked in front was Cal Burke.
All of a sudden, Fred became the commissioner of the CCHA. Doug retired. I was the old man on the block. Sometimes that's a good thing.
It is. It means you've been around for a while and lucky enough to watch this great game. Had to ask Jeff Jackson about all of a sudden NHL coaches being, or rather college coaches being noticed by NHL teams in the run of NHL teams hiring college coaches. And this is a guy that spent some time in the NHL as well as an assistant coach, Jeff Jackson. He said, it's about time.
Well, when you think about what the NCAA is, it's almost... Oh.
Here's the chance right in front. And the quick wrist shot there. Konecny. Olofsson looking for a second there in front. Morelli just jabs it wide. Mad scramble. Dylan St. Cyr having to push Mavericks out of his crease.
That probably should have been a penalty.
It was Morelli that collided with him. He goes off for a change. Alfred weasels his way in across the line. Dello, the tie-up. Things getting a little physical, and it's Nardella. It's time to take chances for the Mavericks, and Jones has been leading that way, pinching in again. Jenkins to Steves, tries to go back to Jenkins, but he was off balance. Tyson right in front. Steves, the low drive. Evan Wenninger has it wrapped up.
Good opportunities here for Omaha. Once again, they're starting to take away some lanes. They're starting to put pressure. Morelli's pressure on the defenseman is what helped make this play happen. Tremendous job by St. Cyr at great depth on making a save coming out. Morelli with a little quick chance here. Now Morelli kind of has a little bit of a yard sale there with the goaltender St. Cyr, and then as he was trying to leave the crease, St. Cyr cross-checked him from behind. I thought he got him in the back of the helmet, but the referee was standing in a much better spot than I was.
So you were thinking a penalty on the goaltender, Dylan St. Cyr, not Morelli.
No, I thought it was a penalty on St. Cyr. I thought he cross-checked him across the back of the head.
Yeah, because it looked like Morelli might have had some help, too, from a defenseman pushed into St. Cyr. Nardella's had a strong game. Would you concur?
I absolutely would. And here's a kid who, through 3 NHL development camps and 3 good seasons, has really turned himself into a nice player. Good offensive jam, as we're going to have a penalty here, but good offensive skill and really good decision making. I think this one is going to be on Notre Dame, unless this one's going to be coincidental. I saw a lot of pointing.
I think it's the curse of the commentator. It's a boarding penalty on the guy we just spoke about, Bobby Nardella.
But as you mentioned, I mean, you're bang on. This is a kid who I think through the Big Ten is going to establish himself as one of the elite, along with a guy like Quinn Hughes at Michigan. This is going to be a guy who's going to generate a lot of points, and he's going to be looked at as one of the top-flight offensive-minded defensemen in the Big Ten Conference. Big power play for Omaha here. What has Omaha done well on the power play? For the most part, it's been Olsen off the right wing to poking it in front of the net. Morelli's been good. He's been a bit of a passer. He's been good in that low support role on that right wing side. But it's a matter of trying to get the big boys to unload. 27 on the left side and 28 on the right.
All those face-offs, so important to begin a power play or a penalty kill. Jack Jenkins wins a big one for Notre Dame. Olofsson at the line and over. Pulkkinen steams in after it. There's Teemu Pulkkinen. And it bounces over the stick of Olofsson. 90 seconds to go in the power play. Ryan Jones right up the middle. Pulkkinen foiled there by Cal Burke.
The whole idea of that drop-back play is to give the puck carrier a chance to really attack with speed once you've got the penalty killers flat-footed on their half of the ice in fairly close proximity to their defensive blue line. Omaha has connected with the pass a couple of times, but they've not attacked the line with speed and been denied a good entry, and that's why Notre Dame has been killing us off with relative ease.
Trying to keep it in with the skate there was Jalen Scholes, but kicks it out of play. Well, for those of you tuning in for the Air Force UNLV football game, you'll be able to find that online at cbssports.com/CBSSN as soon as it kicks off. And of course, we'll get you out there immediately after the conclusion of this game. A lot of action on the network tonight.
That Air Force hockey program is another program that is doing real well under Frank Serratore. Big upset of St. Cloud State last year in the West Regional. Put them up against Minnesota Duluth in the West Regional final. And they pushed Minnesota Duluth as far as they had to go before Duluth won that regional and went on to win the Frozen Four. But great stuff from Air Force hockey.
Probably the last chance here on the power play. Under 30 seconds left. Slowly over the line. Here come the Mavericks. Alfred. Spinner. Dello, the block there on Keck's try. Alfred takes it to the goal, but pressure from Notre Dame too much. And again, another clear from the Fighting Irish.
Dello's just like this big telephone pole that shows up where you least need it to be. You know, like trying to park your car and there's a pole in the way, or trying to move something around and something's in the way. It's Dell's got a great ability to be in the way in a good way.
He's got those long arms. It appears Notre Dame will be going on the power play. 2:54 to go in this third period. Well, for those of you tuning in for the Air Force UNLV football game, you'll be able to find that online at cbssports.com/CBSSN as soon as it kicks off. And of course, we'll get you out there immediately after the conclusion of this hockey game.
The Groundhog Day. Nardell is going to get the gain again. And Omaha is going to get another kick at the can here with just under 3 minutes to go. And their last couple of power plays, they've had some issues at the blue line, settling pucks down. Notre Dame has been pesky and persistent. They've not been able to set up the play that they want, and that is a play to either flank for the big guys to unload.
2 straight penalties for Bobby Nardella puts the Mavericks back on the power play. Olafson's shot is blocked. Now Olafson trying to spread it around. Good play there by Morelli to keep this attack alive. There's Morelli trying to shift it to his forehand. He's nullified by Peak with the crunching hit. Then down goes Peak. Pulkkinen will hold in. Approaching the final 2 minutes of regulation time. Jones forcing that pass, trying to go through a seam. It hits a Notre Dame player. Watch out, breakaway. Jenkins in alone, shoots, scores! Might be time to say goodnight to Omaha. Jenkins strikes on a breakaway.
Well executed play by Jenkins, who it seems like every time he plays flies under the radar and yet comes up with a big play. Slager with a great attack on a wounded duck to get the puck moving, and then Jenkins just took off, and he got Wenninger, like on that other play, to open up his wickets quick. And this time, he found the daylight between the pads where Wenninger was able to make a save just moments ago on that same type of play. But Slager with real good pressure, and it's nice when you're the head coach to be able to see your freshman killing a penalty in the last couple of minutes of a game, make a big play to spring offense.
You can trust Crackers, the kid nicknamed Crackers, late in the game. He doesn't crack. Graham Slaggert helping that breakaway from Jenkins, and it's a 4-1 game with 1:45 to go. Still on the power play for 47 more seconds. Lifting it in is Bukta. Chase Primo. Eyes some options. Back for Bukta, but puck's been taking some weird bounces, especially for the gentleman playing the points in white sweaters in the third period.
There's an old theory of October ice. It's a little bouncy, it's a little crackly until it gets a chance to really set mold as the season continues to go on.
The building is cold today, but not the temperature outside. In the mid-70s in the Omaha area, and sunny. Ward's shot, pick up, got a deflection to it, but it doesn't make it to the goal. 52 seconds to go. As Notre Dame has returned to full strength. Well, the Air Force UNLV football game is underway and now available at cbssports.com/CBSSN. We'll get you out there as soon as this one is over, and it appears that's going to be pretty soon. A comfortable 3-goal lead for the Fighting Irish. Konepke shot. Sailing wide, recovered by Notre Dame. Jake Pavanka will send it in softly. Well, the Fighting Irish have wanted to start off games better this year. They did that, even had a better second period, and has propelled them to a victory on this Friday night. 4-1 is going to be the final over Nebraska, Omaha. Once again, our final score, Notre Dame 4, Omaha 1.